part 2 with the very entertaining Robin Ficker, and we're actually going to find some things that we agree on. He thinks we agree on a lot of things. I think we don't agree on all that much, but I appreciate him here with his perspectives. Okay.
I think we agree on almost everything.
You said that. I think that's fake news, but yeah. So, one of the things you've said is getting Montgomery County moving again, and you said that in reference to 270, and I have different opinions on what would happen if we were to widen 270 and whether or not more people should be driving. But I think what we will agree on, the part of that statement talking about youth fitness.
Oh, yes.
So I've read statistics that say, this was published in Bethesda Beat, that Montgomery County schools require the least amount of time in phys ed in the state or something like that. And then I also read in the Washington local news that of all of the cities and counties in the metro area, that Montgomery County has the highest overall fitness. So how do you reconcile that? Do you think that second statistic is fake news, or do you think it's just a general American problem we have?
Well, I know that elementary school kids in Montgomery County are getting 30 minutes of physical education, not per day, per week.
Yeah, that's no good.
That's an abomination. That's outrageous, and I'm going to change that when I'm county executive. And I'm suggesting that each Montgomery County school child walk or run at least a mile every school day during the school day. And to get Montgomery County moving again, work hard, play hard. Then they can come back and concentrate on what they're doing. And you won't have kids sitting in their desk shaking their legs uncontrollably because they have so much energy to burn. And you won't have kids getting disciplined for being rambunctious in class or being mischievous. They can burn some of that energy in wholesome ways. And when I look at some of the people on the school board and the school administration, I think maybe we should get them involved in a phys ed program too.
Sure.
And as a matter of fact, I think one reason that I have not yet been endorsed by the Montgomery County Police Union is that I suggested that we have physical fitness requirements for Montgomery County Police. And some of the people who were making the endorsement didn't like that. But I think we need to get our police moving too, get them out from sitting in their police cars and from Dunkin' Donuts, and get them out in the neighborhoods and get them moving.
Well, that's a common stereotype, cops at the Dunkin' Donut shop. But, I think a lot of us just need to get moving more. And
Yes.
I think the issue, and I talked about this with Danielle Métis, who's running for council at large, that the reason why there isn't enough emphasis on phys ed in elementary or middle schools because parents are really pushing the kids to excel in so many different academic areas. It's so competitive. Everyone wants their kids to be the best of the best academically. And when there is physical activity, it's like organized competitive sports. There's not enough time for just unfettered, disorganized play, just to let kids be kids. And I talked with her. I think I'm from the last generation, as a 90s kid, that actually played outside. And it seems to be more or less a thing of the past these days. Now, as a county executive, what would you do to, because the CE doesn't really, they don't have line item school budget authority, so how would you...
They have a bully pulpit.
You would just say that the schools have to...
I'd be pulpiting.
You'd be pulpiting.
Yes, I would.
Okay, so, but what actually authority would you have to get more phys ed in schools?
Well...
And I don't disagree with you, but how would you do that?
I'd say to Jerry Smith, the superintendent, I'd say, Jerry, we need to get these kids moving. We need to increase the amount of physical education above 30 minutes a week. You need to support the bill that was in Annapolis to do that instead of opposing it. And I would say, Jerry, by the way, we need to get you in a physical fitness program yourself.
Well, I think everyone should be in a physical fitness program of some kind. If they're not into competitive team sports, you do something individually. Like I don't like team sports that require some kind of coordination or cooperation with other people. I prefer just like running or doing an activity that is just me, myself, and I. Everyone has
Well,
their
you're
own
always
thing.
in good company.
Well, yeah, sure. But everyone can find their own activity that fulfills them. It doesn't always have to be the same organized thing. But I think a lot of the external pressures to be better than everyone else academically or to earn more money than anyone else. Like I think there's so many external pressures that kind of squeeze out time that would be dedicated to exercise.
I don't think we should allow that. And I think that we need to promote physical fitness in the schools, and we need to get these kids moving. And I think that many of the young boys especially are diagnosed with ADHD, and they're being given drugs because they're moving around in class too much or can't concentrate. I think that if we give them more physical exercise and more sports activities, that they would be acting a little more as the school people think they should be.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm pretty skeptical of people who immediately turn to some kind of drug without trying more
Big pharma.
Conventional. Wow, we agree on something.
We agree on almost everything.
Sure. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, or I'm not against modern medicine. I'm not that end of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. But I'm more of a let's use medication as a last resort.
Oh, absolutely.
For example, when I feel sick, when I feel like I have a headache or something coming on, my first thing is sleep. I'll just try to get more sleep. Second thing is, okay, well, maybe I'm not eating enough. Maybe I'm just kind of too stressed and I need to have a nice bowl of vegetable soup or something really nourishing. And then third thing is probably usually sleep. Like usually it's eating or sleeping or maybe just hydration, and then the problem is cured. Like even when I get a cold, I don't even go with cold medicine because I don't like feeling artificially drowsy. Does that make sense?
I agree.
But that's just me. Other people would, I don't know. I'm just not the person that will take an aspirin every time my head hurts. My head hurts is probably because I need more sleep, and the sleep will do it. But I'm fortunate. A lot of other people have legitimate health problems, and I'm no one to say they shouldn't take some kind of medication. But it seems like Americans like to turn to some kind of pill as the easy solution before actually changing their lifestyles.
They're pill poppers, and I don't believe that way. I believe that plenty of exercise is a very good thing, and obviously you do too, and that's what I admire about you, is that you're running and exercising almost every day. I had a track built in my backyard for me and the kids, and we used to run there and use Madison Square Garden indoor track as a plan for the track, and it was written up in the New York Times, and I'd get all the kids in the neighborhood. We had a high jump pit, long jump pit, and we go out there and shovel the snow off the track and run, and if kids weren't crawling back to their house, then I'd say, hey, maybe we haven't run enough.
Yeah, that sounds fun, honestly. And
it was a bank track too, and we use it as a velodrome. So we do mile time trials on the bike.
What was the fastest mile running time you've seen a kid do?
My kid?
Yeah.
Well, my daughter used to go under 5.
Well, yeah, that was your daughter. She's professional.
Right. Well, but no, she was doing that when she was in high school too.
Wow, cool.
We used to work out pretty hard. And one thing we'd do, we'd run on the golf course. We'd go out on the golf course before school and run there, because we do intervals. You'd run from the tee to the green and then walk from the green to the tee. And it's good interval training, and plus you do it barefoot and it feels good on your feet.
Oh, I love running barefoot. Yeah, I used to incorporate a couple barefoot miles every week as part of my regimen.
You should run on the golf course. You need me as your coach, Helen Elizabeth.
Yeah, we'll see. I prefer to train in Tacoma Park, People's Republic of. Yeah, the reason why I don't train with like a coach or a team is, as I said, when I do my long runs, I tend to be pretty antisocial, and I like to mix up. I mean, my schedule, as I try to do every workout for the week. You know, like say a week will be 55 miles with a tempo run, a long run, and an interval. But which days I end up doing those will depend on which day has the best weather and the least craziest schedule. So when people ask, sometimes people ask, well, which day do you take as your off day? Like, is it Fridays or... No, it's whatever day has the worst weather or the busiest schedule. Like, everything's kind of in flux.
Well, you have a difficult schedule because you're working over there in Virginia. You have to commute back and forth. Plus, you need to get your workout in. So you're a busy and you're volunteering now for one campaign and then later on for another, and you're gonna.
No, it's gonna be the same campaign until November.
You're a busy.
Yeah, well, everything I like it. So I usually get up at 4 to run, and it's wonderful. Like, I'll run Sligo Creek, and when I cross Colesville and Silver Spring, there's not a car in sight. It's amazing.
Oh, I know.
But
I used to run that bike path. I remember when they built it.
Yeah, I see one other crazy guy running around 4:30 a.m. This guy in a yellow jacket always has a yellow jacket and a headlamp. 4:30. I try saying hi and he never responds. It's like, I actually said hi. You're the other crazy person, and he didn't say anything. It was a shame. I wanted to make a running buddy, but yeah. So I usually wake up at 4 and I run, and then I go to work, and then I do political stuff after work.
What time do you go to sleep?
I tried to get in bed by 9, but it's usually more like 10, 11. You know, it depends on if I'm doing training the next day or if I have something in the evening. Sometimes I have training and I have something. Some days it's neither. Some days it's one or the other. But yeah, you know, I don't sleep enough. But who does? Like, ask any of the current candidates what is sleep. They don't know what that is. So back to youth fitness. Do you think there's anything specifically a problem in Montgomery County, or do you think this is just an American problem we have?
No, it's a problem here. As the twig is bent, so grows the tree.
Okay.
The kids here are just not on regular exercise programs. They close the schools. They close off athletics in the schools for the most petty reasons. Oftentimes they say, well, we're not going to have our competitions today because it's raining or whatever. We need to have more broad-minded people in these schools. We need to have people who actually believe that physical education is a good thing and helps kids study more and get better grades.
Well, it seems like a lot of the arbitrary weak sauce cancellations are because a lot of people are lawsuit happy. Now, you're a lawyer. Have you ever had... What do you do about these kind of lawsuits? Like, oh, my child fell and broke his leg playing soccer because they held the game in the rain and they shouldn't have done that. I mean, I don't know if that's ever been a case you've had to deal with, but
no,
if something along those lines that you personally would disagree with, would you take them?
Would I take the case?
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you do about cases like that?
Well, I would take the case if the person was interested in pursuing it, because I'm an advocate and I know that just as the people of Montgomery County are my client when I'm county executive, the person who wants to bring that suit
he's county
is going to be my client. I'm an advocate for the person I'm representing.
I mean, that's why I'm not a lawyer, because if I were in that position, I'd just say, look, this is bullshit. I can't help you. This is bullshit. That's why I'm not a lawyer. That's your job. Yeah, I mean, what I was saying before, like, the thing I think is unique to Montgomery County is just the pressure academically that these people face at such a young age.
That's a cop-out.
Well, I don't know. I don't think that's a cop-out, because I think especially here, everyone's feels like their kid needs to excel in all these different areas to be competitive for school. And sometimes you could say, well, a part of that could be sports, but I think what's missing is the unorganized play. And kids that you might say we need to have more time designated at school for physical activity. I think we just need more time for children to just be kids. I said in the episode with Danielle that one of the things that really floored me this summer is we had a Young Democrats picnic at a really nice park in Rockville. It was just like idyllic. It was a nice little pond. It seemed to be clean. And it was like rolling hills, and there was just kind of this perfect little suburb with all these townhouses around it. Not a child in sight. And it's like, what is wrong with this picture? It is a 75-degree day.
I agree.
It is sunny. It's 75 degrees. It's not gross, hot, and humid.
They're
it's not
watching
raining.
these videos.
Why aren't kids just playing outside?
I agree.
And not only is there like screen time, but people are, there's too much stranger danger, there's too much helicopter parenting. I've been accused of being obsessed with that topic, and I might be. In my day, I used to like paddle out on the creek with a spaceshift raft with my friends, and it was the heyday, the last days of disorganized play as a child. I hope I'm wrong. I'm generalizing.
No, you and I think alike.
Yeah, the kids need to just be let loose. And one of my favorite candidates for at-large is Danielle, because she's the free-range mom.
I know about Danielle. I wanted to represent her, but she hired someone else, so I got her.
She hired someone
else who got her a worse deal than I would have.
What kind of deal would you have gotten her? You would have gotten a better deal. You make deals, are they bigly tremendous?
Well, you try to do the best you can for your client.
Yeah, well, I'm having announcement random. I'm having a meet and greet with her at my residence in 2 weeks from today. So y'all should check it out if you know where I live. So that's a thing that's coming up. On that note, who do you like for county at large? Now, I know your endorsement might be people might consider in different ways, but
there's one guy I like, and I'm trying to think of his name right now. It begins with a Green.
Green?
Yeah, Green. What's his name? I was looking at the list. I was looking at the list just recently. He is the only candidate for, and I was just looking at it on the Montgomery Countryside Alliance. He's the only candidate who has promised not to vote to exceed my charter limit on property tax increases, because it takes a unanimous vote to increase property taxes more than the rate of inflation. And all we need is one to say no. And there's only one Democratic candidate who has decided, and I'm going to look up his name right now and tell you so that all your listeners can vote for him.
Who you are supporting for at-large.
And he's the one I'm supporting, and the reason I'm supporting...
So you're registering as a Democrat so you can vote for this person, and then re-registering as a Republican so you can finish your race?
If I could, I would, but they won't let you do that.
Interesting.
But I'm gonna tell you right now.
The property tax thing. What I've read is that it's kind of being described in a misleading way, because when what was it? It was 9.8%, or what was the percent that it was raised a few years ago? As a non-property owner, this never even applied to me. I don't know if I'll ever own property. But,
Greenberger, Neil Greenberger.
Oh, yeah.
Folks, vote for Neil Greenberger. As a matter of fact,
Robin Ficker wants you to vote for...
Bullet vote for Neil Greenberger, because he's the only Democratic candidate running.
And if you want to come on my show, please do.
Who has said that he will not exceed the charter limit, which is my limit, on property tax increases. In other words, it now takes a unanimous vote to see property tax revenue increase more than the rate of inflation. So if we have one who says no, who's not a member of this group think tax increasing group that we have now on the council, which is why they were term limited, then vote for Greenberger. Pull Greenberger's lever, and that's the only one you need for the at-large race to make sure we get one. That's protecting your pocketbook, listeners of this wonderful
Sure, whatever he says. The thing with the property tax is that before they raised it by a lot that year, they actually hadn't raised it in many years.
You know why?
What's your argument to
Let me
this?
tell you.
So it's kind of making up for like a decade of not raising it.
In 2006, they raised it. They raised the county budget 11%. In 2007, they raised the county budget 11%. In 2008, they raised the county budget 14% in 1 year.
Now, what is the rate of growth of the county over those years?
It wasn't
the rate
anywhere
of
close to that.
expenditures.
Then the Ficker Amendment got on the ballot in 2008, which said that they could raise property taxes more than the rate of inflation only if they had a unanimous council. Because before that, they were letting the weak people on the council vote against the tax increases so that someone couldn't run against them and say you were the reason the taxes increased. So they let the weak candidates vote against it. But when they required a unanimous vote, then anyone who voted for it was the deciding vote. So in 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, my amendment stopped these big property tax increases cold and saved every homeowner at least $10,000 in property taxes. Then in 2016, the council members sat around and said to themselves, well, we need a little slush fund to spend for the 2018 elections. We're going to give them a whopping tax increase of 9%, which is
on the elections. You're taking a public financing, though.
Yeah, I am. Which is true. I'm taking because I want a level playing field. Why should we just finance Democratic campaigns with public financing?
It's just a lot of people see irony in this.
It is ironic, but it was written as a Democratic bill to finance Democratic campaigns from public funds. So I just thought, well, I'll take advantage of this and make the playing field level. But then in 2016, the council unanimously passed this large 9% property tax increase, much larger than even Ike Leggett wanted, and because they knew they'd have a lot of money to throw around in an election year. The problem is they weren't thinking about term limits, and as a result, term limits got 70% of the vote, and then 4 of these council members and Ike Leggett were term limited. Because of this big tax increase of 9% that was unnecessary. And that's why we want Neil Greenberger on that council, to prevent any tax increase in the property tax larger than the rate of inflation for the next 4 years. And Robin and Neil will work together in the county.
Sure. I'm sure.
And Helen.
I'm sure
she will join us too.
Mark would approve.
No, you know what Mark said? Mark said that civilizations are not remembered for their tax rates, i.e., I'm going to really use you, Montgomery County voter, as an ATM when I get in there.
I think what he meant by that statement is it's how the money is used rather than where the money comes from. And I mean, I come from a pretty skewed perspective on this because I'm not a property owner, and I probably never will be because I'm kind of an indentured servant to student loans and such. I pay rent, and it's rent control, thank God. So I don't experience the same kind of financial difficulty as, say, a senior citizen on a fixed income might have with property taxes. And that is a place where I would agree with you. You know, my mother, she's retired, so she has a fixed pension she isn't going to get, but her property taxes will increase. So it's not a one or the other. It's not so black and white. However, the statement of civilization not being remembered by their tax increases, it is a really broad statement, but I think it's more what the civilization provides versus how much it's going to take away from rich people or corporations. Because when you look at the people that Mark or anyone in favor of taxing the 1% or taxing corporate rates, it's looking more at the people that it's a matter of if they're going to buy one extra Mercedes or they're going to buy their yacht or not. It's not really targeting the middle class per se. And you look at this tax bill. You look at this tax bill, and a lot of people in my income bracket are actually going to be taxed more, and people less than that, they might save like $1 a week. Where this is really benefiting is people making $500,000 more. I think that's where he's coming from. So it's less about not thinking of tax rates at all, because a lot of people have criticized that statement and saying, oh, well, the United States of America was founded after the Tea Party based on a tax on tea. He wasn't thinking about that. He was thinking about what a civilization and the people in it can do for their country or for their county.
Spend the money wisely. It doesn't matter how much we spend, as long as we're spending it wisely. Just like he also
it's
voted.
Not about how much, it's about how it's used. And I agree. Like, I'm not saying am I for tax increases or am I against them. I'm saying, how is it going to be used? What is the problem that's going to be solved, and how are we solving it?
Do you pay for utilities where you live?
A lot of it's included in my rent, but I pay for like internet.
Okay, well, he voted along with the council in 2010 for a 156% increase in the county energy tax, and said that it was going to be temporary until 2012. Then in 2012 he said, oh no, I changed my mind. It won't be temporary because we have a lot of useful places we want to spend that money.
Well, I try to keep my energy use pretty low, and
I know you do.
We see how much it does go into it.
The county tax is about 1/10 of your Pepco bill now, 1/10 of your energy. As a matter of fact, I tried to get around it by buying my fuel oil in Frederick. Guess what? If it's delivered in Montgomery County, you have to pay the county energy tax.
Yeah, well, I see more of an issue with Pepco, Exelon.
What a regressive tax these so-called progressives on the council voted for. Shame on them.
Sure. Okay, so we're just about out of time. Everything is going to turn onto someone's taxes being increased. I think where we can agree is that it's a matter of how the money is going to be used. Is it going to be streamlined into something that's actually effective, or is it going to...
Not like BRT, right.
I support BRT.
Not like BRT. We don't want to get back on the bus. We want the roads improved.
See, 270, once you get off it, you're going to be stuck in traffic. So with BRT, it would solve the problem of once you exit the highway. What's the point of reducing traffic on the highway, whether you think it's by expanding it, which I disagree with, or having reversible lanes, which I think is more sustainable. What's the point of that?
Do you ever travel on 270 north of Montgomery Village Avenue?
Not during rush hour, thankfully.
I don't think you should, because you're likely to get a parking ticket while you're trying to drive on 270 during that time.
I'll be at Tacoma Parks back at home. But when you exit off 270, what's the point if you're just going to be sitting in traffic there? So I support BRT.
That's why we just put a new exit there at Watkins Mill too, so you won't be sitting near as long.
Yeah, sure, but for those that live down county, which people up county think have too much sway in things, we have to sit in traffic on these roads. So I hope BRT would help solve that. Okay, we've kind of covered all these topics, and you haven't spoken as long as some others, but we're kind of over time. But this was interesting, and it's interesting to find out where we agree and where we can...
Voters, I'm delighted that Helen has come considerably over to my point of view and your point of view.
I have gained a new perspective, certainly, but it's very nice to have someone just be open to engage with someone who disagrees with them. I think this is real. I think the problem that the left faces is this image of being intolerant of opposing views. There's so much talk about college campuses deplatforming conservative speakers, and I think you should hear them, but I think you should hear them out and argue with them constructively, and letting them make their case. And if viewers agree or not, that's up to them.
Let me say this about that. Number one, I like Helen. Two, I've gained a new respect of her.
All right, excellent. So stay tuned on the MoCo Millennial, and maybe we'll have another Republican on, or more people I disagree
I'm an
with.
independent Republican.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. All right, so have a good rest of your day whenever you're watching this, and remember to vote on June 26th. And
MoCo Millennials, Robin delivers for you. Remember that .com, and send me a contribution because I'm doing the public financing. It's matched 6-1 for county executive candidates.
Oh, I have one more question. Why do you like your own comments on Bethesda magazine?
First of all, how can you tell who likes them?
Because it's your name that's under it.
Yeah. No, my name is with the comment, but how can you tell who's liking it?
When you hover the clicker over your the like, your name comes up. So you do like your own comments. Why?
Let me just say this. If I didn't like what I was saying, I wouldn't say it. I think there's something wrong.
But that's kind of internet etiquette. You don't like your own comments.
I don't know why. I think look at the other viewpoint of that. One is there's a lot of people there who make comments without even telling what their name is, and then they don't like what they say. So if you don't like what you say, how can you stand behind what you say?
Sure. On that note, thanks for watching this very interesting segment of the MoCo Millennial.